Welcome again, viewers, to another video on the channel, and in this video we'll be going through the CLI, which is the command line interface in Betaflight. So if you're new to the channel, please press that subscription button, and you can also share the video and press the bell icon so you can be notified of new upcoming videos. Now we have a Betaflight playlist. It teaches you a lot about Betaflight connection issues, the parts you need to build an FPV drone, and so on. But we'll be having more videos coming soon, like what receiver to actually use and why to consider that receiver, why it's better than the others. Other things you can do, like using like MetaQuest goggles or your PC or your phone as a FPV goggles using a UVC transmitter or receiver, that is. But it's a lot coming on, so stay tuned to this video. This video basically gives you a few lists of, well, a small list of the different commands you can use for Betaflight, and use commands to configure your drone, or you can just use presets. I use presets, and sometimes you can also use commands for troubleshooting, like if motors don't spin, if accelerometer isn't working, all this kind of different stuff. But let's get to this video. We'll be going through a few commands and just stick with it. So here I am running Betaflight online, and I use online because it's always the latest model and provides actual support for the latest firmwares. And I'm going to go to my CLI. Now here you can clearly see that I don't have gyro here. I will first declare that this is a damaged board and that this board has no gyro support, as much as I've done on-board hardware work to it, as in bridging and trying to add power to the CPU and this kind of stuff. So it has a gyro problem and there's no schematic for it as yet. This is the main issue. So the first command that we'll go through is the help command. The help command is used to provide you with all the commands that are available and all the commands that you can actually use for your diagnosis or for your setting purposes. So the one below I see here, you can type in VTX info, but I don't have a VTX and I also do not have a receiver on it, but I will still be going through some commands that are actually useful for you. So the first command I will actually go through, besides just those I just mentioned, is the status command. So I'm going to type in status. The status command, here you can see it is nominated by a hashtag besides it. So whenever you type in a command, you will get it commented at the beginning of the CLI here. So here you can see the status command is what I just entered, and here it is with the hashtag. A hashtag just illustrates a comment. Here I can see the status of my flight controller, and it can tell me so many different things about my flight controller. If my flight controller is getting hot, I can see the temperature right here. It allows me to understand the various sensors that are available on my flight controller. The voltage reference here for my CPU is 3.3 volts, and that goes directly to my CPU. My clock speed is 480 megahertz, and this is my CPU here. My CPU is from the STM32, but the variation that I'm really concerned about is a H7 right there. So it tells me how much modern my board is, I will say. So I'm using the H7 CPU, and I have a video about what to actually consider when getting a flight controller online. So I have spoken about the H7, F7, and F4, and there's little versions of the F. So this is the one I'm really concerned about, and this is how you get to know what processor that you're running on. So you tell me about the stack here, and the configuration here, you see that is config, and this is the amount that you have used out of that. It also tells me that I have no gyro, and this is why that board is out of commission, because it does not have a functional gyro, regardless of me doing some onboard work on it to try to get that gyro to work. So I still have hope in trying to get that gyro to work. So right now there is just not a no-no. Take my barometer model, barometer version here. It tells me OSD, and yes, I have OSD, and this is my MSP here. It gives me the dimensions of it also, and it tells me I do not have a SD card inserted. So generally, all the stuff here, I will not be going through every single thing, but I can tell you that the status of my flight controller can be found by using the status command. So the next command that I'll be going through right here is the get command. Now the get command, I'll type it in. It might take a little while to load, but while it loads, I will explain it. The get command, on the other hand, provides you with all the details and characteristics that you can actually change on your flight controller. So if I want to change a profile name, if I want to change, this is what I'm speaking about here, it is. If I want to change a profile name, if I want to change my VTX channel, my VTX band, if I want to change my D-short protocol, I can do all that using the get command. And I'll tell you here, I'm going to change one thing about this flight controller. So if I type in get ACC limit, currently my acceleration limit is 200 and the LR range is 500. So clearly I can change it by using a different command called the set command. So the get command allows you to get different attributes that you can actually change, and the set command make the changes. So type in the set command and type in set ACC limit, and I'll put an equal sign and I'll put it as 400. Then I'll press save. So now if I go back and I put in get acceleration limit, ACC limit, you will now see that my get ACC limit here now returns to me a value of 400. So it's now set to 400, but it has not been saved yet. The next command will now be the save command. There are two things you can do when using CLI. You can save your settings that you have just altered, or you can not save and exit. And how you're going to exit is by typing the exit command. The exit command will exit the CLI without saving. Also, if you do not know about the exit command and you're thinking that you've done a mistake or you have done some changes that you don't think you know how to revert back to or have not been back up, you can just simply unplug your flight controller and it will not save it for you. This next command will now be an instance where you have made so many changes. And let's give this scenario. I'm going to be building, let's say, RLC planes in bulk or RLC drones in bulk, and they're all using the same FC flight controller and the same ESC, which is your electronic control module. Sorry, your electronic speed controller. Yeah, you'll be using those same boards and those same hardware, and generally you don't want to be setting everything individually. You don't want to be going to ports and you set the ports. You have to go configurations and set different configurations, set whatever you want to allow your beeps, what you want beeps for, set your power ratings, your presets and profiles in PID. Well, presets, you could you can just load presets and also save presets, and that is the easy way to do it. By just saving your presets, it will save every single thing that you have done, and you can load it onto another flight controller. So that's the easy way out. But some people will rather just use the dump command. The dump command, what it does, it takes all the configurations that you have set on your flight controller and it returns it. When you returns it, you can then copy it and create your own preset. In other words, you can go to preset and just press save preset, and then it will do the same thing. But some people rather just use CLI. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So here I can see this is my dump command, and I can now copy everything below it. Everywhere that you see a hashtag, it means it's a comment. So I'm going to highlight a little bit right here and scroll all the way down, hold my shift button and go down to my last comment here, and yeah, I'm then going to press copy. So I highlighted from my last comment here all the way to my top, and like I told you, anywhere you see a hashtag, it's generally just a comment. So I'm now going to open Notepad or my word editor. I'm going to paste this here, and I can easily save that preset as preset. I'm not going to save it, but in the instance that you do save it and you want to now load this preset on another drone, how do you do this? It's as simple as that. You can easily go to presets right here and then click load configuration or load preset, and then you simply click on this file that you just saved. Or if you want to do it the longer way, you can open your preset file, copy everything. So I've copied everything. It's in my clipboard, so I'm not going to worry. And let's say you want to order drone that have been flashed but have not been configured. Everything here will be blank, and you just have your little welcome for your CLI. You can just right click here and click on paste, and then you're going to press enter. It will now load all the presets from the preset file that you had, or the presets that you have copied from your previous drone, and now it will then load it onto this new flight controller for you. So like I said, the process is flash your flight controller and then you load your presets, and after this then you go verify in the different tabs across here. So let's wait until this is finished. So here it is done, and the next command that we will now go through is the bind command. So I've now flashed my drone, and this is just a scenario, and I've now loaded the presets from a different drone, which is one that I am comfortable and content with. Those presets will also include profiles and this kind of stuff. So now I'm going to bind my drone to a transmitter. So I'm going to put my receiver into binding mode by typing in bind underscore RX. So my receiver on my drone will now be in binding mode. When I type in bind RX, it will now flash my receiver green and orange and enable binding mode, so I can now press bind on my transmitter. Or you can do the free power cycle, or just plug in your drone to the power and wait 1 minute and your drone will enter into binding mode. Or you can press the button and hold it on your receiver if you have a button available on your receiver module. And now this is binding mode, and I can bind my receiver. I can also use that binding mode for those that actually have a Wi-Fi capability to then change my receiver's protocols and change my receiver binding phrase and so on. also check out the firmware that it uses on Express LRS. Since I'm using Express LRS, that's an Express LRS instance. The next command will be BL, and BL will have you cycle between bootloader mode or DFU mode. So if you're in bootloader mode like I am right now, where you can see everything about the drone, where the drone is fully functional, this is bootloader mode. DFU mode is a mode where you enter and you have no access to all those tabs there, but you can have access to just flashing. This is a mode used for flashing only. The next command I will use is task. Task with a S at the end will show me all the tasks that are actually going on in my processor. And this is there. It will show you the loads, it will show you the total, and it will show you the names right here. The next command will be diff. And diff will provide me with all the different settings that I have changed on my profile for only my current profile. So I did change profile 1. I did add some information to it, like I did change my yaw to 25, and you can see here it shows you every single thing that have been changed, and these here are not default because my profile was on a different mode and I switched it to, I think it's, I can't remember the name, but I didn't do much on this flight controller. Like I told you, it does not work. But here you can see my current acceleration limit is 400, and it shows me every single thing about that profile because profile 1 is my current profile. If I type in diff all will provide me with all the changes that have been made to all the profiles. So I've only made changes to profile 1 right here. Then it gives me all the other profiles and it will give me the different values that have changed on it. So it just returns the profile. But if I made changes to profile 2 and profile 3, it would have provided those changes there for me under them. But I have not made any changes. So this is why profile 2 and profile 3 is empty. So in essence, your CLI allows you to change different configurations on your flight controller. If you do not know, then therefore, if you type in the help command, it provides you with all the commands that are available. But if you do not know what's available to you, just type in get, and then they'll provide you all the available things that are available to change. You can also use it for troubleshooting, and mainly that's why I will use CLI for troubleshooting and trying out different commands to help solve my issue. So generally that's it for this video, and the last command I will use is exit. Okay, right now I don't want to save anything else, and now my flight controller will exit without saving the configurations. Now this is it. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.